Hello there and welcome to my Arty Corner here on YouTube. My name's Angela Porter, and amongst other things I'm an artist, and I love to draw. And being a science teacher for 28 years means that I also love to encourage people and help them learn and to discover things about themselves, gain the confidence they need to both draw, to create art, but also to be creative in their own way, to find your own way of doing things. And that's my aim here on this channel. And I also like to make art that's pretty, because I think the world needs a lot more pretty in it, and things to make us smile. So with no further ado, I'm going to get to this. Glasses, there. Need glasses. Can't see without my glasses. Well, I can, but not as well as if I use them. I'm just using a ruler to draw in my boundary today because that's what I need to do. This is actually my second go at this video. I'll show you my first one. The video was incredibly long and I thought, this is getting ridiculous now. I'm heading towards 2 hours and I'm not into editing, because it'll take me longer to edit than it does to redo this. So, you know. So, I'm going to do 2 days of Inktober Tangles in one today, because I won't be around tomorrow at all, anywhere on social media. I've got something to do. And so I just thought that today might be the day that we have a look at 2 patterns. So today it's the 26th of October. Where has October gone? And the pattern for today is one that's called Feliz. Feliz. It's by Sabine Abel, who's a CZT. And the one for tomorrow, the 27th, is Narfellow, which is a Zentangle pattern. Although I insist on drawing it my own way, rather than the Zentangle step out way. So let's have a look. I'm going to start with Feliz, and I'm actually going to, let me have a look. I actually think I'm going to put Feliz over here, and I'm going to start, yeah, let's do 3 sections, and the lines might be a bit wobbly, but trust me, this is a lot better than me trying to put a dot grid down today, because I've said already, I've tried this. I'm actually going to do one, oh, I was going to do one enormous one, but I can't get my head around how I'm going to do it, so I'm going to do it this way. So the usual way of starting this pattern is by putting a grid of dots, equally spaced dots. I've drawn a pencil grid instead, and I'm going to join each side of each square with a V shape. Now with this one, I'm actually creating them quite low now. This morning I did them really rather big, but it will work no matter how you do this. I'm aiming roughly for the centre of these lines, but they're going to end up a bit wobbly and wonky. I could stop and go, oh, there's about halfway up. I'll go up there. I'll join them that way, which is a possible thing to do. Or I could even use my ruler to mark a grid out, but I am not doing that. That will take way too much brain power, and I don't have that much brain power at my disposal today. So I'm just going to carry on guesstimating. So I'm really drawing a zigzag along these with the centre, the rise bits there. Next step, flip it over. And we're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So there we go. So we're creating interconnected diamond shapes like this, connected diamond shapes. And I can see that if I was to join these with lines down this way, we'd get some interesting, you know, almost like steps. boxes. Quite a three-dimensional pattern, but that is not today's pattern. So it doesn't take that long to do. There's a rhythm to it, and I think once you find your rhythm, the way you like to draw these, then things build up quite quickly. Okay, so those are the, well, vertical lines, because I intend to use my paper like this as landscape. So now I need to do the same with the horizontal lines, where I'm going to connect these in the same way as I did previously. So now I'm likely to do a variation compared to the original pattern to begin with. And I will put a link to a step out for you. I think it's Sabine's original step out in the description, as I do during Inktober. But doesn't mean we can't vary and make these patterns our own. In fact, I do believe that the founders, the people at Zentangle, encourage people to be creative, to make patterns your own, to do things in your own way. Because art is a very personal expression. No two of us draw in exactly the same way. Even if we're drawing the same pattern, if we're drawing it freehand, there's going to be some differences. So this is the basic grid for Feliz. In the step out, these shapes are much bigger, and I'm going to make that happen in a moment, because I know what I want to do with these. So what I am going to do is I am going to aura both sides of these, but with a tethered aura. Is that the phrase? Where I'm starting at the point where the squares meet. And I'm just going to aura this to give myself a bit of a oomph. Now I could have started with this bigger shape to begin with, but that wasn't how my hand wanted to draw them to begin with. So I'm fine with it. So I'm going to do the same thing, where I'm just going to quickly go and order them. And it just gives that little bit more presence to these. And you know I like to aura things. Well, if you're a regular visitor, you know how much I like auras and borders and around different things. I like the way they separate one section from another, especially if you want to join, or not join, to fill a section in with a particular kind of pattern. They're perfect, and another one next side with a different pattern. They're perfect for separating these sections apart, from one another. I am having trouble with my words today. So forgive me that. I have had breakfast. I have had one mug of mocha. But I don't want anything else at the moment, so I will eventually get there. It's a lovely day outside. It's sunshiny here, broken clouds. So I'm hoping that I can get what I need to do done and go out for a walk later with my camera. That is my plan. Whether that actually happens, I do not know. But we'll see. Yesterday, I didn't have to, but I'd made arrangements to go and visit one of the people who's involved with the Heritage Railway that I went to back early on in September to the Steam Gala, and applied to join and to help them out with something. And so I went up to have a chat about that to see what their thoughts were, and if there was a concordance or not, and to see whether it's something I can genuinely help them with, which is what I want to do. And there was kind of, well, we were thinking about this, but we're not really sure because none of us are really technologically savvy. And so anything you bring, okay then, all right. So we had a chat about some things and some ideas I'd had, and it was lovely. But the weather wasn't, it was very grey. The air was very misty and damp looking, and colours were dull, and the camera wouldn't have improved it very much. So I didn't take any photographs, but I know I can return there. Like today would be a good day, but I can't do that because I've also got stuff to do at home, and I also need to be at home for a delivery, so that could scupper my entire plans. So, it is what it is, right? Before I do any more with Feliz here, I'm just going to say thank you to everybody who subscribed. I appreciate it all so much. If you find yourself coming back, or you're a first-time viewer and you enjoy what you see, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It costs you nothing, it's free. Same as pressing the thumbs up button, just to show that you found the video useful or it helped you in some way. It means a lot, and it also helps YouTube share my videos with others who may enjoy my content or find it useful, which is brilliant. So thank you ever so much for that, each and every one of you. Okay, so this is the basic grid for Feliz, and what Sabine has done is she's filled these sections with big orbs. Well, I don't really want to do that. I think I may want to focus on the inside bits or not. I'm not really sure what I want to do, but I do tend to do things that that I end up doing, and it's kind of an exploration. I think this is going to be one of them. So here I think I'm going to, that's what I want to do. I'm going to put a circle in the middle, but I'm not touching it to the edge, and then I'm going to have like a teardrop shape coming up and holding it in place from the corners. Now, I'm not going to do all of these with you because that would be very tedious, but I'm going to do some so we can see what this looks like. I quite like the darkness of these teardrop shapes, as it really does help to bring out, well, it returns the square back to the pattern, because these go along the lines of the square. So it's showing its roots, how it started, which is quite fun. I'm using an 05 Copic multi-liner to do this with. So I'm finding it a bit awkward to get, keep my lines perhaps as neat as they need to be in the smaller sections, but I will cope. And also what's happening here is it's almost like I'm creating flowers that are held together by these little circles, which could be little pollen, grains of pollen. I quite like that. Of course I could create, oh look at that, I've done that the other way. It's fine, it'll work. There we go. And this is nice because I've got an uneven section as well, like this. I don't need to worry about that unevenness. Is that I'll just pop that circle in somewhere close to the middle, and the unevenness kind of vanishes. Okay, I've got this line to do up here. So well, I say the unevenness vanishes. It vanishes in amongst all of the unvanishes. It doesn't unvanish. Kind of blends in with the total unevenness of something that is hand-drawn by somebody who's still half asleep, even though I've been awake since just after 6 o'clock this morning, I think it was. Or 6:30, I think it was. So it looks like I'm going to end up doing all of these. Oh, there you are. I wasn't going to bore you with all of this, but it seems I'm going to. Or rather, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the circles in for now. And leave that perhaps as it is as an alternative as well. But of course with these there are other alternatives, like I could just draw a line through the centre. So this is a way of the pattern segueing from one form to another. And then perhaps with this, instead of a line, I'll do 2 little like petals on either side. Just as something different. I'm managing to pick the ink up. It's not drying as quickly as I'd like on this paper, so I've got to be mindful of that now. At the end of the day, when I add colour to this, those will disappear anyway. So there we are. So that's part of my version of Feliz. Now then, I'm going to go to a finer pen. And again, I'm using a Copic multiliner. This is a 0.25. And I'm going to do some variations of the inside, I think, because it's lovely to have it left open, and I want to leave some open anyway. You'll see why when it comes to Narfellow, or you may guess why. But I'm just adding some auras here to these ones, just keeping these fairly simple. And I'm just moving my paper to help me draw the lines a bit more easily. In fact, I don't need to do each one singly, do I? I can do them all one after another, which makes some kind of sense. And then just this one. Then I can turn it and I can join these this way. That makes some sense. So we've got this going on. So for these others here, I'm going to join these in a different way. I'm going to join the points together so we form a square in the middle. So I am dividing up this space in a different way. Like so. And then here, I'm also going to draw a square in, but I'm going to make it much smaller. I think that's the way I want it. If not, I can always draw around it. This is the way I do want it. Because with this, I'm going to connect it to the points, and it's all going to be a bit wobbly because my drawing is all a bit wobbly, but I think I'll be all right. So 3 different ways of dividing that space up, all quite logical really. Okay, with this I want to create some points like so. So I am going from the corner of that inner square up to the outside edge. So it gives it a much more star kind of shape. I perhaps didn't need to draw in those lines to the corners, but I also think I needed to. So we do them this way, and I'll turn my paper to do the opposite sides then, so I'm able to move my hand in the same direction. And I quite like using the finer pen for doing this because it adds a subtler pattern and texture, and the bolder lines of the outline of the pattern are still there, defining the spaces. So I've got that there with some kind of star or other. With these I'm going to do something a bit different. I am going to aura these inner triangles, so again I'm going to work my way in one direction and come back and I'll turn the paper so I can complete them in the other direction. I was going to leave some of these blank, wasn't I? No matter. I can show you on my other version what I did. And you can see whether you like that and whether it's something you'd like to do. And the first one, I think I'm going to leave them exactly as they are. I've left them blank. There we are. Okay, I have made a bit of a mess of some of these lines. Just tidy them up a bit. Actually, make the bottom lines a bit heavier, because then it looks like the square is sat on top of whatever's underneath, so that'll work nicely. Bit of dimension going on. Now if I want these to feel that we're looking inside, it's to the top and the right I want to make the lines thicker. So this is my top, this is my right, because I've turned the paper to draw easily. So just get these down here. Trying to keep my hands out of the way so you can see my nib moving, but it's just not working. Sorry. Okay, and then here with this one, I'm just going to put a black spot right in the middle there, as if we've put a nail or something in to hold all of these pieces together. Okay. Now I can bring some of these patterns out, and I think with these lines here, I'm just going to fill them. Not lines, but the triangles here. I'm just going to fill them with lines that are very close together, just to add that variation in density of pen. the ink. I think black might be too much here because I think it would be competing with both the very dense areas of ink where all of these shapes come together, the corners of the squares, but also these parts here. So it's nice to have that variation, but if you'd prefer to do it in black, carry on. It's your drawing. You don't have to do exactly what I do, unless it's your confidence building and just feeling your way kind of thing. Go with your instincts, say, oh, I'm not fussed on that, but I'd rather like to do this. Try it, see what happens. The worst thing that happens is you end up with something that you're not too fussed on, but you've tried it, you've learnt from it, and you can grow and develop from that. I like this. I do. I almost want to put lines in there, but I know that'll be too much. So I am going to just add some line weight again to the bottom sides of this triangle, just to add some weight there. I could fill these with lines, these central bits or the outside. Actually, the outer bits would be interesting, so that we have this kind of echoing that kind of idea from the previous one. So I'm using those lines here from the corner of the diamond in the middle out to draw these lines parallel to, and we get that kind of thing going on. I'm not fussed on it. I thought it was a good idea. At the time it seemed like a good idea. But perhaps if I do alternate ones around, let's have a look and see how that works. No, I think I'm going to have to keep on doing the same thing. But it's okay. It is what it is now, and we'll just work with it and use it. See what I can do with it, as I'm going to hopefully have time to add some pattern and highlights, or sorry, colour, and use colour to add shade and highlights. I told you I haven't got my words today. And because I'm working really quickly here, I'm also aware that I'm not being as neat as I could be with my lines. But I also think that is a function of me today. I spend time with people and I can be a bit wasted the next day, as it were, or it's the anxiety, even though I'm with people I know, sort of. I can still end up feeling quite, you know, the come down from stress, from the anxiety the next day can be quite noticeable. So right, okay, so there we have all of that. Right, next pattern, I'm going to use a different pen, is Narfellow. So this is Felix. So dare I write this on here? let me do this with give myself some guidelines. Feliz, not Felix. Feliz. So that's Feliz. The second one is Narfellow, which I will try to do the way that the Zentangle step out is. I think it makes some sense. But I'm going to draw my wavy lines from the points that stick out here. And I can't do one there, but I can. So I'm using the pattern to find my places I'm starting from here. And I'm trying to aura these, but I'm not perfect at drawing waves. And I just think that will do. I don't think I need to add anything up here, because that would be up here, it'd be outside my boundary. And so part of me thinks, well, I could kind of, you know, come here somewhere and I'd have quite small spaces. Shall I? No, I'm not going to split them because that is really awkward to do, but I'm going to turn it this way. Okay, so we want to look for the tops of these lines, you know, where they bend this way. And I'm going to want to carry this on as if I'm heading towards where the base of this particular wave would be. So here's that base, so I want to carry this on and go there. There's another one here, so I can carry that on and join it up there. And I'm going to carry on doing that all the way along. So here's another one where we can follow that round. Here and here. Again here. Here. There. So that's the first, or the second step. The first step is all the nested lines. The next step is we're going to take this and join it back down, like so. So where we've joined the lines that connect the bottom, we're going to get them to connect to that bit that came up. So where do we get that one? There's the bottom, so we need to... Have I done that right? I think so. So here we need to go from here and back down there. I'm making a pig's ear of this one. Narfellow, done this way, has always vexed me because it doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't make sense. I've got this weird shape here. I think that's simply because I can't bring that back down though. It's not going to come back this way. So I've got some very strange shapes there. I've got some very strange things going on. I'll work with it and see what happens, because I mean, it is what it is now. I haven't done a very good job of that. I'll turn the page over and I'll have a go at creating Narfellow in a different way that makes sense to me. The simplest version of Narfellow is to leave as it is and shade it. The next simple version is to aura inside these spaces. So I'm just finishing the edges off over there. And indeed, I think I might aura all the spaces because I like that look and effect. I really haven't done a good job on this one. And all I'm going to say is ho hum. On the edge, I'm just going to bump these out a little bit just to create a nice edge to this section. I think I've split sections that I shouldn't have split, and others I should have split I haven't, but as I've said, it is what it is now, and we'll work with it no matter what. And just don't tell someone that you've messed up and nobody will know, because hopefully at the end of it all it'll be lovely enough, and perhaps better than you could have hoped for if you'd done everything exactly as it should have gone. Sorry for the gap there in what I was saying. I've definitely got something weird going on here. Yet that is exactly how it should have been. Sort of, just a weirder shape. Yeah, what have I done wrong? Oh, I did all of them in one direction, and really, I know what I should have been doing. Right, let me have a look. I'll go on the back of this one very quickly. So here is my wave, my waves for Narfellow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here where I've got the bits that bump out towards the right, and I'm going to go down there, down to that one, and down there. Then, I've done it right. And then I'm going to go from here down to there. Then I'm starting here and going that way, there, there, and then we can go back down this way. So it's a alternating one as you go down. Why have I never worked that out before? And then which way did I just go? I went that way, didn't I? So we need to go back up. Is it? Yeah, I think it is. It's back up that kind of way and around there and around there. Yeah, that's right, because we're completing this. Should have gone a bit higher up. So you get these shapes. That's why I went wrong. But I am, yeah, I can see what I did wrong. But I've got something that's vaguely like it. So if I put in another one, perhaps I can fit one in at the top as well. Let's see if we can get this working. So from the top here, I need to go here, then down to here, then across to here, and then down like so. Yeah, I can see you don't have to do it step by step across. You can actually do it along the whole one. In fact, if anything, then it becomes a lot more natural because we're going to draw a wave between the two where we're connecting the high points and the low points to create these spaces. So yeah, I can see what's happening. I'll show you what I mean in a moment. Okay, there's these ones here as well. It's funny, isn't it, how sometimes I can be incredibly dense about shapes and patterns. Not the neatest drawn. I think that's simply because I got frustrated with myself here and what I was trying to do. Not understanding. But I've got there. Try if I've got space. Yeah, I've got space. So if I draw two of these, just two of them, then what we're going to do is we're going to be drawing a wave. Let me check you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to draw from here a wave that goes up, down, up, down, up, down, and back up. So it connects between the two waves, so we're getting the up going here and the down there, and then we get these strange leaf shapes here. I've got even weirder ones here. This is a much straighter or flatter one than this, but you can see these kinds of half leaf shapes that are there. And that leads to the question that we could do Narfellows in single lines almost. Like so. We're getting the same shapes there. And then these bottom ones, if we join them with a line like that, then we can go back and draw that line there, and then we again get these shapes. Now that makes sense to me, how to draw it that way. That really, really does make sense. It really, really does. I'm getting bright light everywhere, sunshine out. So let me just close that. And do I need some more? I think this will be okay. Here we are. I've got another piece of paper. Apologies for the alcohol marker through it. But if I start with a line like this, and then I'm going to draw against it a wavy line, I can join it at the end. Then I can draw a similar kind of line, I suppose, if I want to, with a bit of a wave in it, to join the troughs of these waves. The top bits, as I'm looking at them, are the peaks, and the lowest parts are the troughs. And then I want to, I've done that wrong. I wanted that to come up. Yeah, I wanted it to come up there, down under there, up, down, up. And then we're getting this repeating pattern of these Narfellow shapes. So again, we'll go down, up, oops, up, down, up, down, up. And if we get them roughly under each other, we're getting that shape of Narfellow, which I think is what it is it? No, it's not. Or is it? No, still not got it. Oh, is this giving you hearts that it's possible to completely get something wrong? I can't work it out. I really cannot work this out. I can see what the steps are meant to be in the step out, but it's actually not making sense to me at all. So I'm going to have to look at somebody else's video at some point. I'll show you that one in a moment, but that's as close as I can get it, which is good enough for me today. We all have these patterns that vex us in one way or another. I like to fill things in with perk. I think it gives a lovely dimension. If you choose where you put your biggest orb, as they call them, the circles, the biggest bead, biggest seed, and then you just have them all tucked in behind and they fade away, and it naturally just gives a lot of dimension without the use of shadow at all. So I'm going to do a couple with this in. I cannot believe I haven't actually got Narfellow sorted in any way, shape or form. There we are. So I'm going to have one here. Actually, let me have a look, because the way I've constructed Narfellow is I draw a line like this, and then but that's not right, is it? That's not Narfellow. Is it? I think it probably is, actually. So what I'm doing is I'm drawing a wave pattern where the waves, the bottom of the waves are underneath the tops of the others. They're alternating. So I'm connecting the wave by drawing down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And where you connect the ups and the downs changes the shape that you produce. And these are Narfellow shapes. It's just slightly different to how it appears and the way that, I don't know. Am I confusing myself? Please, somebody deconfuse me. Back to perks. So I've got those done. I think this one would need to be perks as well here. It feels like it belongs to the perk family. Of Narfellows. It actually looks really nice like that. And I quite like that we've got quite a lot of curviness going on in this. which is a nice contrast to the Feliz. Feliz? Feliz? This, which is very angular and very geometric. I know I've got some rounded bits in there, but it's essentially very geometric. So we've got, as I say, there's a nice contrast going on here between one and the other. I think that's how the perks look so nice here, to be honest. They do. I think so. They're not the only things that you can fill this in with. I'm going to do simple bits of weaving or overlapping like this, which is really nice. And then that middle bit I'm just going to fill in black just to help there. Set it down so it feels that we've got this weaving is leading to things being deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's adding more of a dimensional feel, or, you know, not dimensional, geometric feel. But I quite like woven patterns like this. And we'll go right the way across, so a little bit of black there. So ones like that work nicely. I also like to pop some haven't quite got that right, but it's okay as it is. It'll do. Like so. Some spirals in. Because that really does make it think that we've got waves crashing and doing what waves do. And if I aura those spirals, it fills the space quite nicely. So, but that one's a bit awkward, but it works. As a filling pattern, it's a nice thing. Other things we can do, I'm going to split these one into two, and I'm going to pop in like rounded arches, but they're bent to one side, and join the central part like so. And then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to draw them slanted again in the same kind of direction. I'm just moved the paper over because it's a lot easier to draw this way for my hand to move and do this. So that adds a fair amount of volume to this as well, especially if I put a little black dot or shape at the bottom. That adds more ink to those outer sides and sets them back, and it makes it feel that this is rising upwards in the middle. So that's quite nice. Oh, settling down actually, because there's more black on the inside. So it feels like they're going inwards. That's how it feels to me. And of course, we can also do double lines to split them. And there's all kinds of possibilities here. I'm going to aura them on either side and just put a dark section in the middle so it looks more like a leaf. I'm going to put the line through the middle like this, but I'm going to draw ovals on either side or over that line. Ignoring the line for this, I'm going to fill sections in with black around them. And I'm really happy for that black line to be there. If anything, I want the black line to be there because I'm going to draw another sort of like oval shape inside, and that line becomes part of the pattern then. Just, you know, if you just think about all the patterns, all the things you can fit into a space. There's Muka going in. Like so. So there's a couple of Muka there. I can't fit any others in, so I'll fit some orbs into the spaces and fill them in with black around them. So it's similar to these, I suppose, but just done in a different way. Talking about splitting them along the length. We can do that, and we can turn them into seed pods. And I am going to aura on the outside of that a couple of times. So that helps to lift them up and make them look like they're bulging outwards. And there's so much more I'm trying to think now. My brain is getting tired. I'm getting to that point where I need to sleep. Oh, if we can do it lengthways, we can certainly do that as well sideways. And with this, I'm going to aura inside that shape, and that's where I'm going to put my seeds. But then I'm going to just pop those in like that, which is fun. Of course, we can just turn them into leaves if we wish, which is fine because they are quite leaf-shaped in mine, but they are in the official Tangle as well. I'm really vexed now. I'm going to be spending some of my day working out how to do Narfellow. If I do, I'll record a very quick video to put up and go, I've got it cracked. So with this here, I'm just going to fill these with leaves, because those would be fun to colour in with autumn time in mind. And I've put auras inside these sections, but of course you could leave them without the auras and fill the sections in that way. There's so many options. It's always your choice what you do. I'm going to fill one here. Like so. So a nice rounded shape, sort of crescent moony. And then here I'm going to fill it with pointy arches, also known as Gothic arches in my lexicon. And I'm going to weave above them. Like so, just to add some texture and some depth there. Shall go this side and add some line weight on that side, and then on the other, opposite side, and then that adds some volume to this pattern as well. Just helps to lift things up a little bit. Like so. Of course, we can fill these with shattuck, which is one of my favourites. It's a zigzag pattern, but I'm using curved lines here, and then once I've drawn a line that cuts off a section, I go back and fill that section in. Because if I don't do it as I'm going along, I can get confused going back. And then this one will just be all that way. And we can do this in a zigzag form. So I need to separate off an area here that's a triangle shape. And then we'll just keep on going, like so. Which is quite nice. Could we fill these with betweed? Probably, but I'm not going to try. This one here is a lovely, we've got a diamond shape here, so I'm going to just weave that bit there. And do you know what? I may do the same here. Like so, will do fine. This one, I'm going to put an almost like an I, letter I in the middle. I'm going to put 2 loops like that. Let me see if I can do that here in a different way. So I'm going to aura behind that bar, like so. And then the next bit I'm going to aura, but I'm just going to fill in black. So there we are, all of this is filled except for this section, because I do feel this will need something. So I'm going to pop a nice big orb there. So I'm not a particular fan of having orbs stuck in the middle with a lot of black around it. I'm going to put a little one there. I've got that space there. That's the only one left. So just going to do that to it, just to fill it up. So this is Narfellow. So let me just get my pen again, or pencil. And I think in my case it's actually Narfellow-ish. So Narfellow. Ish. Because I really haven't got to grips with that, have I? So I'm just over an hour for this. So what I'll do quickly, this is my first version, which took me nearly an hour and a half to do because I started adding colour and things. And I've got Narfellow going behind this. And can you see where I've got some of these left blank? I've actually drawn the Narfellow in them, like little windows there. I've used alcohol marker to add shadow and highlight. Not to add highlight, but to leave the highlights because I'm working on white paper, so I'm using the white paper as the highlight. I haven't done it all. I've used sort of like blues and bluey greys, cool greys for this. And I added a very distinct shadow along the edge just to lift the whole of this above the Narfellow underneath. There are lots of different patterns in this one, and I will scan this in. I will put pictures of this and this one in the community section once I've added colour to this one. And as I've said, if I work out how to draw Narfellow later on today, I'll do a very quick video showing you how to do it, because my head just isn't getting it. I think it's close enough that, you know, would anybody really notice? I don't know. I just know that I just haven't got it, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So, thank you for joining me. I hope you have a go at these. And even when you don't get things right, just carry on and finish and see where it leads you. This may not be exactly Narfellow, but it's close enough. It's the best I can do at the moment. And I had fun filling the sections in with patterns anyway. Not very coherent looking. I do like this though, how I've gone from one side and I've gradually sort of like, it's almost like it's morphed through a little bit. It's changed a little bit from side to side. You know, with here, I've gone from this to this simply by putting that square on top of that shape and then auraing inside it. And here, the squares shrunk. These have become split up in a different way and the shading put on. Not happy with the shading on that one. I wish I hadn't done it. Or I wish I'd just done it in the inner bits and left the outside bits as they were. But, you know, you live and learn. So take heart from my incompetence at this and know that we all struggle with certain patterns, but we do what we can. And, you know, I love the shapes that are formed in Narfellow, and that's the kind of shape I would use in other aspects of my work. So take care, look after yourselves, and find time to be creative, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.